One. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to wake up. I have the Chief Judge of the Third Circuit Court, Judge Timothy Kinney, with me today. And I just want to know what's going on with the court during all this COVID-19. Judge Kinney, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I'm delighted to be here with you. Let me just start out by saying, I think in the Third Circuit Court, as with all courts throughout the state of Michigan, I think we have all had sort of force feeding of about 3 years worth of technology in the last 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
We have found that the virus has really put us in a situation where we have had to balance the notion of keeping people safe and at the same time delivering essential services that the public expects us to deliver.
Okay, so what is happening? Let's say somebody has a jury trial. Okay, what happens?
Well, right now, jury trials are probably the last things that will come back into full play. And the reason for that, of course, are things like social distancing. You know that as a practical matter, jury boxes, you have, like in a criminal case, you're going to have 14 individuals sitting almost shoulder to shoulder. And in a civil case, they're going to have 8 people sitting shoulder to shoulder. And when they've heard the case, they're going to go into a rather small room to deliberate. So we have to make adjustments to that, and we have to make arrangements so that we don't imperil the safety of citizens that we ask to come down and sit on these cases, and also provide them spaces where they can, in fact, sit and talk about the case. It also requires us to make sure that, you know, we don't have a whole lot of people coming into the courtroom and among other things, violating the governor's order, and also increasing the likelihood that the virus can spread.
So what if a person has a motion before the judge and, you know, they want to get it heard and all that? What goes on?
Well, we've been handling them remotely, as a matter of fact. Motions, whether it's in the civil division of our court or the juvenile division, criminal division, or family division, we have been using Zoom to handle these motions. So people are getting their motions heard.
And you're using Zoom, so you're not worried about the security of it because it's all out in the public domain anyway, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. And we do have, you know, there is also the notion that the public is entitled to see what goes on in our court proceedings. And so we have been using YouTube. We just started using that so that the public can, in fact, watch what is going on in the court proceedings, but by the same token, not come into the courthouse and contribute to the challenge of possibly spreading the virus.
Let me try and get the technology in my head. So you have a Zoom meeting and you take it out live to YouTube.
Correct.
And so you give everybody, how does everybody know to watch, which channel to watch? Are there multiple Third Circuit Court channels, or?
Yes, each judge has their own channel. If you go to the court's website and you can look on the division, for example, if there was a motion in front of me, for example, you could go and look up my name in the civil division, and then you could go and look in my docket, and then you could click onto the YouTube channel and see what was going on.
That is absolutely fascinating. I mean, it's got to be some must-watch TV. I mean,
Well,
okay. I want you to know, I want to go to Judge Craig Strong's YouTube channel. But he just dresses in black. This is the one time he's just dressed in black. I mean, all of those judges having their own YouTube channel. And So then on the YouTube channel, it's organized by motion or organized by case?
There is a posting of what matters will be on the docket so that you can, in fact, go and see what is up in front of a particular judge on a particular day, and then you can connect on to be able to watch.
Now, does that judge shoot from their home or do they shoot from their courtroom? Is the YouTube video shot from their courtroom or from their home?
Well, you need to know that this is really pretty much a work in progress, Steve. This is something that
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this.
yeah, I will tell you that, for example, in the criminal division, we have been having the judges working from the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, from a courtroom. But we do have some instances, for example, I will tell you that in the juvenile division, we have been working remotely on some delinquency matters and some other proceedings, and the judges have been working from home. And what you have is you have sort of a screen behind them, which has the picture of the seal of the state of Michigan and the flags and everything else, and the judge would wear a robe and you'd never know the difference.
Well, you'd know the difference. So you're telling me each one of your judges has a green screen. Okay, they have a background of the court behind.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. To ramp up that quickly, Your Honor, is just fascinating.
Well, there have been a number of bumps along the way, as I'm sure you can imagine, and we're still trying things out. And but I think that one of the interesting things that has developed is that some of the things that we are developing technologically are things that we will incorporate once we sort of get back in the swing of handling things. I like to refer to it as the new abnormal that we're going to find ourselves in. Like, for example, instead of requiring, let's say in an automobile accident case, instead of having the attorneys have to travel over to the court and talk about settling the case, it can be done by Zoom. And it's probably effective for the attorneys and also cost savings to the clients as well. In the criminal division, in some of the pretrial matters, we won't be having to transport defendants over to the courtroom. They can show up on a Polycom in the courtroom. So we're really trying to do as best we can.
Your Honor, I'm going to go to the unforeseen outcome of this whole shelter in place thing that we're going through in a minute, but I've got to jump to an interview that I did with Wayne County Commission Chairwoman Alicia Bell. And she talked about the fact that about 900 prisoners are no longer in the Wayne County Jail. They're at home on tether, because of COVID-19. So I asked her, I said, well, if you've got 900 or some odd former inmates at home that would have been in jail, do you really need that big monolith that you're building on Warren and I-75? So then the question comes to you,
Sure.
If you're going to make all these changes where you don't have to transfer prisoners and all that, does that change the calculus of the Justice Center? I mean, is there going to have to be a subtle redesign of that thing? Or is it just going to go as it is and you're just going to have all that space and all that, and you'll just have all this tech and we'll have a different world here?
Let me talk about a couple of ingredients that have caused the reduction in the jail over the last month and a half, if I can. One of the things, of course, is the fact that there have been efforts to reduce the jail population, particularly those who are medically vulnerable and don't pose a danger to public safety, as well as those who are in on like ordinance violations and minor things that don't pose a danger. But the other ingredient, and it's probably a bigger ingredient, Steve, is the fact that there have been significantly lower numbers of people booked into the Wayne County Jail. For example, on a daily basis, if you look to a time before we had the virus, there are somewhere between 60 and 70 inmates a day booked into the Wayne County Jail. Now, it's about a dozen or less per day. So there are just fewer people being arrested and arraigned on and brought in on warrants right now. So once we get through this, I would expect that the jail population is in fact going to go up. It's something that we're trying to implement a number of changes that will reduce the jail population, but I don't think that we can discount the fact that there are just fewer people being arrested and brought into jail.
Okay, well, let's go to the unintended consequence of the stay-at-home order, and that is domestic violence. There undoubtedly will be some calls for A, a divorce, a do-it-yourself divorce, and B, a PPO, personal protective order. How is that handled? How are divorces handled during this time period? And how are PPOs handled?
Well, divorces are being handled. Filings can be made and are being made. Right now, they're being accepted just as they have been accepted in the past. They're filed with the county clerk's office. We have been handling personal protection order requests differently. They are being handled electronically now, so that people can go to the website. And for your viewers, if you don't mind, by giving the website.
Sure, please do.
Sure. If you go to the numeral 3 rdcc.org, that's the number 3 rdcc.org. That is the court's website, and on the front page, it will show a section called divisions, and if you go down to the family division, it will tell you how to apply for a personal protection order. It gives it step 1, step 2, step 3, right along the way. We also list there a number of other resources, legal aid offices who are able to help people file those personal protection orders if they need to have them. So we are mindful of the fact that this stay-at-home directive and order that we have does have some adverse consequences. If you're cooped up with somebody that you're not getting along with, domestic violence charges certainly are something that is not a shocking consequence.
All right. Chief Judge Kinney, is there anything else you want to add that the public needs to know about the operations of the Third Circuit Court during this pandemic?
I would say that we want people to go to the website, and I think that they will find a lot of assistance and direction that will give them guidance as to how to proceed. And there are phone numbers that are attached there in case people have additional difficulty. We are just trying to proceed as best we can. We're not going to just throw open the doors once we can go forward. I think just as the governor has indicated, we need to move ahead, I think, as gradually as we safely can. But we are week by week expanding how we view what are the essential services that need to be delivered to the residents of Wayne County, and we are doing it as best and as quickly as we possibly can.
Well, Your Honor, I'm fascinated. And, I'm running out of things to binge watch. So, I'm going to have to binge watch the YouTube channels. I'm just going to have to do it. It's a must do. It's a must do. I can't wait.
Well, I think it's something that will probably be very much a part of how things will go in the future. Back when I started my legal career as a prosecutor in Wayne County, we had a group of people, mostly senior citizens, who were called court watchers, and they would go from courtroom to courtroom in recorder's court, watching the cases that they thought were fascinating. And so I think this is sort of the 21st century version of that.
Oh, I'm definitely binge watching tonight. Judge Kinney, Chief Judge Kinney, thank you very much for joining us. And remember, everybody, it's all at thirdcc.org. You can get all the information on how it works there. Thank you, Your Honor.